Hello, everybody. It's that time again. Time for Coffee Talk with Jill. For those of you who don't know who I am Jill Allen, the owner and founder of Jill Allen and Associates, an orthodontic consulting firm dedicated to startup practices and practices who've been in business 8 years or less. Over the next few coffee talks, we will be diving into a few topics that are near and dear to my heart, things that I often find myself coaching doctors on. We will be up close and personal with goal setting, which is why I have lovingly dubbed this coffee talk series Mindset Mastery, Goal Setting for 2020. You've probably heard a million different suggestions on how to set your goals and plan for a successful year. But if you know me, you know I like to take a very practical approach to everything I do. And that's why I want to share with you all the best ways I know on how to achieve goals, starting with today's episode I named The Review. First things first, when we look at goals for your practice, you must do a complete review of your previous year and focus on measurable practice health indicators. Now, I'm going to stop for just a second and say if you're one of my new doctors who's a startup, what you need to be doing is you don't have anything to measure against from your previous year. So you do need to be setting goals that are attainable and reasonable. If you're working with me, you know what those goals should be as we move through your first year. So for existing doctors, one of the things I want you to be thinking about is what was your total production by month? What was your total collections by month? And what was your TC conversions by month? That's just one area to start with that helps give you a starting point on how we're going to look at previous year to current year. The next thing I want you to be thinking about is when you are reviewing your goals, so you got some of your big baselines in place, don't forget to analyze the unpredictable things that may have occurred in your previous year. So 2020, great example. What could have occurred in our 2020? Of course, we had COVID. We could have had team turnover. We could have had some new technological changes. Maybe we implemented virtual consults, and maybe just even some of our referring doctors, our referring patterns changed. Maybe we had people retire. So it's really important that you look at all of those things and take into consideration everything you didn't see coming. Some people like to call this similar to a SWOT exercise, if you've heard that analogy before. And basically, what that is SWOT stands for strengths. So, what were your strengths within the year? What were your weaknesses within the year? What were any opportunities that you may have had and threats to your business? So, when you look back, be sure and think about those things that you did not see coming. And you, like I said, you could include in this a SWOT analysis. And the next thing is we want to think about goals for the practice. You must do a complete review of your previous year, like I was saying. So when we review our years, some of the things that we want to be looking at is, did you hit your goals? So when we think about hitting our goals, what we want to be thinking about is, did I hit them? And if I did, why did I hit them? And if I didn't, what maybe influenced why I did not hit them? And I know that 2020 was a hard year and we may have been shut down for a few months in 2020. And what I've told my docs is when you're pulling numbers for those years, go back and at least take your baseline for 19. So if we were shut down March, April, and May, let's just say of 2020, you say, well, Jill, how can I look at my goals and know what my baseline production, collections, TC conversion was? Well, hopefully you've been in practice for a couple years and you can just jump right back into 19 and say, all right, what was my baseline? And let's set those. But again, when we're looking at our goals, it's not just about coming up with these numbers and saying, okay, here's my new goals. I don't know why. I want you to really be looking at the previous year and saying, okay, here was my goals and I hit my goals, but why did I hit them? What did I do really well? What did my team do really well to make us hit our goals? And maybe you had a goal that you didn't hit. All right, well, what got in the way of me hitting those goals? So just, really think about measurable things that could have influenced attaining your goals or could have influenced you not hitting your goals. The other thing is, I want you to really make sure that you set your goals to be relevant for 2021. So maybe in 19, when you were setting your goals for 20, you had these goals, they seem like they were very relevant. And now that we are in our setting goals for 2021, our path may have changed. What was our keyword for last year? Pivot, right? We may have pivoted and be doing something totally different this year. So it's okay to evaluate our goals and even evaluate the relevance of our goals. The next thing that I think we really want to look at is being honest with ourselves. We have to be okay with failures and successes. Every single business owner, myself included, we all have wins in our win column and we all have failures in our failure column. And it's okay. And what we have to do is be real with ourselves. We don't want to sugarcoat it. And we want to remember that results are more important than our comfort zone. So what do I mean by that? That means that sometimes we're setting those big, hairy, audacious goals that we've talked about. But other times it just means that we are getting out of our comfort zone to keep ourselves accountable for the goals that we're setting. So, as I'm sure all of you have done at some point in your life, you've maybe set a personal New Year's resolution. And we set a fitness goal to go to the gym every year. And well, we're February the 4th, and guess what? I'll bet most of us are not still doing our personal goals. We've been there, we've done that, right? So I want to give you a few little tips for you setting your goals this year. I want you to think about documenting your goals in a way that helps you stay accountable and focused on them. I suggest, I know it's crazy, doing just what I'm doing here, recording yourself in a short video, giving a little synopsis of your year-end review. It's really simple to grab your phone, do a little video recording of yourself, and just tell yourself what your goals are. Now, if that is just pushing you way outside your comfort zone and you're like, Jill, that's great, but I would never do that, and you're feeling maybe a little camera shy, it's okay. You can also journal. You can use your dot journal. You can use a spreadsheet. I know we all do things a little differently. I know when I work with my clients, everybody's got a different way of tracking their goals. I love my my notepad and notebook in my Mac. That's where I keep my goals. But the fun thing is when we journal these, when we video log these, what it does is it gives ourselves accountability to ourselves. And I'll just tell you something that's really fun for me is I've been doing journaling my goals for years now. One of the most exciting things for me is at the beginning of a new year is to go back and look at not just the previous year's goals, but the years before that and look back and go, wow, look what I've accomplished. Look what I put my mind on, I set my mind's eye on, and look what I've been able to do. And there may be a few things where I was like, gosh, I can't believe that was a goal of mine. Look where I'm at now, and just how going through life and being willing to pivot, being willing to change has led me to this other direction where I thought that was an important goal and it really wasn't. So as we finish up, again, Jill here from Jill Allen and Associates, and what we are going to be talking about in this series is goals for ourselves in our business in 2021. If you've got questions, be sure and drop them in the column below, and be sure and join me next week. Our topic is going to be pizza party, and I know you're saying, how does pizza party mesh up with 2021 goals? But I promise it does. Talk to you later. Happy Copy Talk.